Hello students, now we will start with last topic of biodiversity and conservation topic, that is why to conserve biodiversity and how to conserve biodiversity. If a question was arised, why to conserve biodiversity? It is explained basing on the economic benefits from the nature. Those economic benefits from the nature for the human welfare are explained under few different terms like narrow utilitarian arguments, and second one, broad utilitarian arguments. And also when we consider the ethics. So what is narrow utilitarian arguments? Narrow utilitarian arguments includes the economic, the most important economic benefits from the nature in the form of food, in the form of medicines, in form of water, in form of other requirements like shelter, etc. also are included under narrow utilitarian. This reason includes the economic benefits from nature in form of food, medicines, etc. According to NCERT, few examples are given like 25% of medicines that are overall synthesized from the pharmaceuticals are from plants. But we know that there are some regions where tribal people or normal people, they used to grow some of the herbs which are of medicinal values and utilize those plants directly as medicines. It may not be for all types of treatments, but somewhere they are using some plants directly as medicines. So nearly 25,000 number of plants are used as medicines by native people. Next one, broad utilitarian arguments. This reason also includes the economic benefit from oxygen. Without oxygen, no living organism can be alive, except anaerobes. Even anaerobes also, they are being survived in presence of CO2. For formation of CO2 or creating some anaerobic conditions also, initially oxygen is necessary. Completely absence of oxygen also will not give complete growth of the anaerobes. At least this oxygen should be present in the form of CO2, NO2, etc. to provide the anaerobic conditions there. Now, when we think of future and without disturbing the nature, then there will be good benefits for the next generations. We cannot give a particular value for oxygen that we are breathing inside, and we cannot give a particular value for the pollinations that is happening all over the greenery. natural pollinators are absent, then what about the pollination? Can we do pollination for each and every plant, each and every flower? If we think so, then we will understand how much valuable is the nature. Coming to ethical values. We human beings follow many ethics. That ethics also is majorly responsible. That is also in another way helping the nature from being prone to disturbances. So following ethics and thinking of moral values will not harm any organism. Next one is how to conserve biodiversity. Biodiversity is conserved in two different methods. One is in situ conservation. Conservation means overall protection. Second one, ex situ conservation. We will see now just one meaning word. In situ conservation means protecting any wild animal within its premises. Ex situ conservation means bringing the wild animal out of its native place and then protecting. Protecting a wild animal within its native premises. Ex situ conservation means protecting a wild animal. Now here we are using ex situ for gametes, seed banks, etc. also. These are just one single word meanings of in situ and ex situ. We will see in detail. Under in situ, we have some other terms like hotspots. What is a hotspot? Hotspots are geographical areas with more biodiversity but are vulnerable due to destruction. Worldwide, there are 35 biodiversity hotspots. We can see one example of hotspot as forest. Forest is a biodiversity hotspot. Next, another example under in situ conservation. So we have seen here 35 number of hotspots worldwide. But what about India? So India has 3 hotspots. What are those? One is Western Ghats. Second one, Himalayan regions. Third one, Sri Lanka, which is nearby. Sri Lanka and Himalayan regions, Western Ghats, and not here. We have to continue with and Indo-Burma. These three are considered under hotspots in India. All hotspots occupy 2% of world's land. Means these 35 hotspots, they are equal to 2% of total world's land. Next one, sacred groves. What are sacred groves? These are defined as the geographical areas that are protected by the native people and are untouched by the people from outside. These are geographical areas considered as untouched by outsiders but protected by native people, or we can also say local people. So such areas are called as sacred groves. So how many number of sacred groves are there worldwide? There are 1300 worldwide. Next, in India, what are the sacred groves? In India, some of the sacred groves are Aravalli Hills in Rajasthan, next, Bastar and Sarguja in and Chanda in Madhya Pradesh, Western Ghats in Karnataka, next Kasi and Jainta areas in Meghalaya. So these are few examples under in situ conservation. In situ conservation is also given with another term, that is on-site conservation. Then ex situ conservation, off-site. In the sense, on-site in the sense their native place, off-site in the sense out of their native place. Now, some of examples under ex situ conservation or methods under ex situ conservation. First one is national parks. What are national parks? National parks are those that are protecting animals under government control or under human control. These are under human control, government control. According to NCERT, it was given that there are 19 national parks but by this year 2022, we can say 2021, okay, now by now there are 106 national parks. In national parks, there will be no human activity. Next one is wildlife sanctuary. Wildlife sanctuaries are the areas or the lands that are managed to conserve only wild animals which are in endangered in condition. The geographical areas managed to conserve wildlife. According to NCRT, there are 448 number of wildlife sanctuaries. But by this 2021, there are 565 wildlife sanctuaries. So these are also under government control. And some of private organizations are also involved in this. In national parks, human activities are not allowed. But here little bit of human activities, because 1 or 2 persons has to be in that premises to observe what is happening to the wildlife. So that very little human activity is permitted or allowed. Third one is Biosphere Reserve. These are also some geographical areas but are unique. The unique geographical areas that are ecologically showing biodiversity, you can see richness, and are legally protected. So those are called as biosphere reserves. So here, these are considered as the large geographical areas and may cover national parks and sanctuaries also. These are large areas including national parks and sanctuaries. Here also nothing but the main concept of biosphere reserves is to protect or conserve the species diversity. The major focus is to conserve species diversity. Next one, botanical gardens and cryopreservations. We know that botanical gardens is protecting many different types of plants. Next one, cryopreservation. This is the concept that was asked many times in previous MCQs. For suppose in a particular area, there are some plants that are about to get extinction or they are threatened in nature. Then, if those plants are not being survived for the next generations, then their seeds or their genetic gametes can be brought to the laboratory and they can be preserved for the future purpose. So those can be, which are means protected by bringing out of their native place, are explained under EXSITU conservation. So here, cryopreservation method in the laboratory is used to preserve cells, genes, gametes, seeds in seed bank or whole plant in liquid nitrogen. At minus 196 degrees centigrade. So these are a few types of, actually these are also protected in seed bank, etc. Another term we can also learn like wildlife safari. Wildlife safari, where little bit of human activities are allowed, so that, but the wildlife should not be at any disturbance. According to NCERT, there are given some types of meetings or summits that are conducted by different countries when they all gather together. One is Earth Summit. Earth Summit. The Earth Summit was conducted in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro, and agenda of this meeting or this summit was held to protect the biodiversity. Agenda is to protect or conserve, how to protect or how to conserve biodiversity. Next, historical convention or biological diversity. It is the name given for Earth Summit, also called as Where is this Rio de Janeiro? It is considered as the capital city in Brazil. It is city in Brazil. Next, another one is World Summit. World Summit. World Summit was conducted in 2002 in Johannesburg. In South Africa. Agenda is on sustainable development of wildlife. Sustainable development of wildlife. Totally in World Summit, 190 countries have been participated. This is about biodiversity and conservation chapter.